Here is your rewritten, expanded YouTube documentary-style script in a strong, engaging, human-like storytelling tone. It is written fully in paragraphs as you prefer, with no bullets and no titles. The world is watching something unfold that, just a few years ago, would have sounded completely impossible. A city once celebrated as the ultimate symbol of wealth, ambition, and futuristic living is now being whispered about in a very different tone. In just 30 days, millions of people have tried to leave. Not tourists returning home after a vacation, not business travelers completing their deals, but people escaping. That single shift in behavior changes everything. Because when people stop arriving and start fleeing, the story of a city begins to rewrite itself in real time. Dubai was never just a city. It was an idea. A promise that no matter where you came from, you could arrive with nothing and build something extraordinary. Skyscrapers rising out of the desert, artificial islands stretching into the sea, and an economy powered by speed, confidence, and constant motion. But what happens when that motion slows down? What happens when confidence cracks? What happens when the very system that kept everything running begins to feel fragile? Over the past few weeks, the numbers alone have painted a chilling picture. Flights reduced dramatically, hotels struggling to fill even a quarter of their rooms, real estate markets freezing in key sectors. These are not just statistics. These are signals. Signals that something deeper is happening beneath the surface, something that glossy advertisements and luxury travel brochures never prepared anyone for. Because behind the glass towers and golden branding, there has always been a more complex reality, one that only becomes visible when pressure is applied. The turning point came suddenly, but its roots go back much further. When the incident at the iconic skyscraper shocked both residents and the global audience, it wasn't just about smoke, fire, or emergency evacuations. It was about perception. Because cities like Dubai don't just operate on infrastructure. They operate on belief. Belief that everything is controlled, stable, and safe. The moment that belief is shaken, even slightly, the ripple effects travel faster than any shockwave. People who once waited hours just to experience the top of the tallest building in the world suddenly began cancelling their plans. Not because the building disappeared, but because the experience itself no longer felt worth the risk or the cost. That shift is subtle, but powerful. Luxury only works when it feels effortless. The moment it becomes inconvenient or uncertain, it starts losing its appeal. And when thousands begin to feel that at the same time, the system starts to feel it too. Downtown, once alive with lights, music, and crowds, began to change its rhythm. The fountains that once symbolized celebration fell silent. The observation decks that once offered breathtaking views became empty spaces. And the atmosphere shifted from excitement to quiet caution. It wasn't a dramatic collapse. It was something more unsettling. A gradual withdrawal of energy, like a city holding its breath. But if you really want to understand the scale of what's happening, you have to look at the airport. Because airports are the heartbeat of global cities. They tell you whether a place is thriving or struggling. And what we are seeing now is something unprecedented. A system built to handle constant inflow suddenly overwhelmed by outflow. People lining up not to enter, but to leave. One-way tickets becoming more valuable than luxury hotel suites. A place once defined by connection now defined by exit. The scenes there reveal something deeper than panic. They reveal calculation. People weighing their options, making decisions quickly, and choosing certainty over luxury. When even high-income professionals, investors, and long-term residents begin to leave, it sends a message that goes far beyond tourism. It suggests that trust itself is being questioned. And in a city built on global trust, that is a critical shift. Away from the airport, in the quiet corners of luxury islands, another story is unfolding. The ultra-wealthy are not known for waiting until the last moment. They move early, quietly, and strategically. And their movements often signal trends before they become visible to everyone else. Villas sitting empty, properties being listed below previous valuations, and a noticeable absence of the energy that once defined these areas. These are not just lifestyle changes. They are strategic exits. Maintaining artificial environments in extreme conditions has always required a delicate balance of resources. Energy, water, logistics, and constant maintenance. When any part of that system becomes uncertain, the entire structure feels it. What once seemed like an engineering marvel can suddenly feel like a vulnerability. And when that realization sets in, even the most beautiful views lose their meaning. In areas once filled with young professionals and vibrant nightlife, the atmosphere has also shifted. These were the people who powered the city's daily life. The workers, creators, and dreamers who believed in the promise of growth. But when costs rise, opportunities shrink, and uncertainty increases, that belief starts to fade. And when belief fades, people move. Quietly, steadily, and often permanently. Luxury hotels, once symbols of ultimate success, are now facing a different reality. Discounts appear where exclusivity once ruled. Silence replaces celebration. And the experience begins to feel less like an escape and more like isolation. Because luxury without security is not luxury at all. It becomes a question, a doubt, a risk. In the financial districts, the changes are even more subtle but equally significant. Money moves faster than people. It doesn't wait in lines or pack suitcases. It simply transfers. And when capital begins to flow out instead of in, the impact spreads quickly. Offices empty, deals move online to other cities, and the ecosystem that once thrived on constant activity begins to slow down. Ports and logistics hubs, the backbone of trade, are also feeling the pressure. When global routes become uncertain, businesses look for alternatives. Delays, increased costs, and operational challenges begin to add up. And companies that once relied on efficiency start reconsidering their strategies. Because in global trade, reliability is everything. And once that reliability is questioned, shifts happen fast. Even places designed to celebrate global unity and culture are not immune. Without visitors, without participants, without energy, these spaces lose their purpose. What once felt like a celebration begins to feel like a display without an audience. And that contrast highlights a deeper truth. A city cannot simulate vibrancy. It needs real people, real movement, and real confidence to sustain it. In residential areas, the impact becomes deeply personal. Families reassessing their future, professionals reconsidering their careers, and everyday people facing difficult choices. These are not headlines. These are real lives adjusting to changing circumstances. And when enough individuals make the same decision, it becomes a collective shift. What we are witnessing is not a simple collapse or a sudden disaster. It is something more complex. A recalibration. A moment where a system built on speed and ambition is being tested by uncertainty and reality. And the outcome of that test is still unfolding. Because cities do not just rise and fall based on money. They rise and fall based on trust. Trust in safety, stability, opportunity, and future potential. And when that trust is challenged, everything else begins to adjust around it. The question now is not just about what is happening, but what comes next. Can confidence be rebuilt? Can systems adapt? Can a city that redefined modern ambition redefine itself once again? Or are we witnessing a turning point that will reshape how the world views rapid development and global hubs? One thing is certain. The story is far from over. And what happens next will not just impact one city, but the global conversation about how modern cities are built, sustained, and protected in an increasingly unpredictable world.